have started offline, but they have given it as a choice. So nobody's willing to go in right now.
Okay, so students are not willing to go, but the college has given an option whether you can
Yeah.
continue with the online or the offline.
Yeah, they've started the offline teaching on 8th March.
Okay, on 8th of March. Okay, what's the students' opinion whether they are okay with the online or they want offline classes also?
So some students who are just focusing on their college studies will definitely prefer offline teaching.
Okay,
But there are many students, like I am from an ECE branch.
okay,
So it is a common perception, and mostly people take ECE because they don't get CSE.
okay,
This is the most common thing. And mostly students in my batch are preparing for either their masters, or they are doing internships right now, or doing extra works for get changing their field to CSE.
okay.
So they are preferring online teaching because it is also feasible in the sense that you don't have to waste your time for transportation. Like my house is 25 kilometers away from my college. So if I go to college, my daily transportation time is 3 hours almost. So it's very tireable for me as well. And also I get time to do other stuff as well. So for me, online is more preferable.
Okay, so Tushita, nowadays it seems that students preferring online classes because they used to do some other activities also. Means they need to do some online training or internships or
Yes, sir.
something
Yes.
like that, or they're just performing coding competitions. They're learning some different things. So
Yes.
doesn't it make sense that there is getting a lack of importance of the institutes just to go have classrooms there rather than students want to sit at home and they just want to do their things.
Sir, what I believe is that not just from learning lectures you can, do something. I believe that doing more coding competitions and something is what will help you get on your resume, and it will help you to get more internships and stuff. Just writing on your resume that you've attended the college will not get you anywhere. This is the fact.
Okay,
So, yeah, so you need to do internships and all the stuff that is required to get you a proper resume or something. That suppose, like I am preparing for my GRE, so I'm applying for my masters right now. So the thing is that just writing, like they have a cap for CGPA, like they want ki your CGPA should be up till this level. I have maintained that, but above that, in the statement of purpose, you have to write why do you want that degree? What have you done apart from college to maintain your interest into the program? So that is what the extra time is required for.
all right. So
Yeah.
I guess this has happened because most of the courses has been now online. Most of the I said if I talk about the organizations, they are offering online courses. They are offering free courses. So
Yes.
is that there also been a reason for the students to switch themselves to avail those courses and get some certifications and get some some other things which will help them in your resume so they can crack the campus or some company interview, something like that.
Yeah, sir. Like when the lockdown started, like my LinkedIn was flooded with certifications and everything. Like
Okay.
people were doing so many courses and all of that. And even I got into that flow that only certifications on your resume will help out, and I should complete as many courses as I can. But later on, as I talked to many experts and people, they taught me that only certifications on your certification is just a way of showing that you have done this course, you have learned it. But what is making you show that you've actually implemented it? It's your projects and stuff.
Okay.
So that is more important in the sense that, like, doing online courses is important, but like you need to learn the stuff before implementing onto any real time project. But yeah, I think that projects seem more important for me than the certifications.
Okay, but still, if the students are not having offline classes, so they might be lagging in in their subjects. Is that an issue? See, they are going to get knowledge from other websites or online learning stuff. But
Yes, sir.
is there any issue that they are not having offline classes, though they might be lagging in their basic concepts?
In the institute studies.
Obviously.
So, generally, what I've seen in CSE students is that what they're learning right now is something they've already learned from courses elsewhere. So
Okay.
that is something I don't think that would pose much of a problem. Like students who are already learning advanced concepts, for them institute studies will be fine. Like for me, like I'm in an ECE branch. So for me, data communication and digital communication are the stuffs which are there in my core courses in the institute. So those are something that I do struggle like at the end to study, because I haven't done anything in that sort of field. Like my interest science, data science is my interest, so that is nowhere related to digital communication or something. So yeah, I do face a little bit of problem, but then you need to maintain a cap CGPA. Then at the end I have to study, so I'll do that on my own.
All right. So, are you working on any projects?
Not right now, sir. I have been working on research papers and mostly research related stuff as of now. I'll start with the projects after I complete with my GRE.
Okay, and coding or programming, like.
Yeah, I do attend hackathons and Kaggle challenges. That was something I was doing quite frequently earlier.
All
So
right,
yeah.
and okay. Well, and Toshita, what we are expecting from this session? Just a very short note, if you just want to say.
Yeah, so basically, I'd be talking about the open source contributions that I did. I'd be talking about how I learned data science and what are the internships that I did for improving my skills. That is the main 3 points.
All right. Um, well, thanks, Toshita, and
Yes, sir.
we are just waiting for more students to join this session.
Okay, sir.
Hello, Anamika.
Hello, sir. Hello, Toshita ma'am. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm also fine. Ma'am, I'm having one question. May I ask before the session start?
Yeah,
We are
sure.
having, ma'am, how you start your open source journey means like I'm also just a beginner. I'm using Git and GitHub. I'm facing lots of problem.
Yeah.
So how you start
Sorry, you're not
open source
audible. How did I start? What?
open source contributions?
Yeah, so that is exactly what I'd be talking in my session. So you can see, you can like hear from there. So after that, if you still have any doubts, we can contact later as well. If you, do you mind that?
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd be talking about everything in open source that I did and my application process and everything. So I'd be telling that. Yeah.
Well, Toshita, can we have an introduction, please, for the students who are just been has joined here?
Yeah. So I'm just sharing my screen right now. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. You can share your presentation, please.
is it visible? So
Yes, it's visible. Yeah.
so should I start now?
Uh, we just
Hello.
Yeah, we just wait for 2 more minutes.
Yeah, sir, sure.
So, students, today we are having Tushita with us, and she will discuss about open source programs and her journey in machine learning or data. Tushita, we are having a subject web engineering in sixth semester, and the students who are joining the session are basically from third semesters. So, can you just tell about how it will help them in web engineering if you talk about the open source programs or the softwares?
The open source contributions, like the programs which are there, they are basically there to help you with your projects and resume building. So the more you apply your knowledge into projects and resume stuff, your skills will more be improved, and hence you can realize how actually the projects work in the industry, and how they use Git and GitHub to integrate projects and stuff.
All right, thanks. So yeah, Tushita, you can start your presentation, please.
Yeah, so is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, so this is a little introduction about me. I am currently a third year student in Nirma. I have my majors in EC and my minors in CSE. So it's like a dual degree program that is there. I worked in GSS OC 20 and also right now in 21. I've done my internships in Mann Ki Baat Industries in Omdana, and also I've been interning at Sparks Foundation. I was elite team member at the Labs Upgrade and also a participant in their BWLU program. And I've also worked for Coding Ninjas. So I'll be talking about all of this in detail ahead. So basically, what is open source? Open source is something which is open for all. So there is no genuine owner of the program, which means that any project that you will be building through open source will be openly available to the public for their use. Any projects which is launched and published, you can see how it is done, and it adds up experience in your resume, and it increases the chances of landing up in a good job since you show that you've done a projects. So it is basically an application of your skills, which is more important in the industry. So what are the key skills required to participate in any open source program? Number one is the community bonding. We generally have many participants and you have the mentors and everything. So there is a community bonding session specifically dedicated to gel amongst your peers and your mentors, to become familiar with them so that you can work together and you can take as much knowledge as you can from the mentors. Second is the consistency. Consistency is really important because even if you you need to make sure that you are doing some work at least, and you're giving updates every week that you're doing the work. Otherwise you will simply be removed from the organization. They won't they won't tolerate any excuses. They just remove the participant and they just say that it is the person is inactive and we cannot put him in the organization. Third point is definitely the enthusiasm for the work and projects. If you have the enthusiasm, that is why you applied, which is obvious. And you need to continue that enthusiasm for the period of 2 or 3 months, how long the open source program works on. The technical skills which are required are Git and GitHub.
Excuse me,
Yes.
ma'am, your slide is not changing. It is only stuck at the first one. Open source program and my journey in AML.
Oh, sorry. Just a second. Now is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I was talking about the technical skills which are required. So number one is the Git and GitHub. You should know how to use both of them. And the second is the tech stack you are preferring for working in a project. So every open source program that you volunteer to work into, they have you can get into either their web development projects, you can get into UX UI field, you can get into machine learning or data science, which is preferable. So that is a tech stack. You should at least know some basics of it so that at least you can put in some PRs so that it is shown that you are at least trying to work in that project. So general procedure for any open source program which is followed, that the applications are out and according to your judgment, according to you know how your skills are at the industry level, you choose that you want to become a mentor or a participant. It's according to your choice. If you are a participant, you will contribute to the program by you post PR request in the GitHub repository. And also, you have to attend the weekly meetings to give your progress to the mentor, and that should show that you are doing some work in the program, to show that your work in the project is being given. If you are a mentor, you will take care of the GitHub repo and you are merging the valid requests, and you should make sure that everybody is comfortable with the GitHub skills and everything. So my open source program journey started with Let's Upgrade. They had launched a program called Build with Let's Upgrade, in which I was selected as a participant. So my tech stack was data science. So I picked up two projects, that was sentiment analysis and a face attendance system. So this was a 2-month project. So they had given us an option that you can participate in however many projects you want. So I took up two projects. There were two mentors that were allotted to each project. So in the face attendance system, one of my mentors was he was working in Wipro, and we like gained a lot of knowledge from him. And he was like a software developer there for a really long time. So he was helping us with how actually projects work, and how they use the projects in the industry to deploy, and the GitHub and the GitHub skills which are required, everything. And even if you don't know how to use GitHub or use Git, they will provide you all the resources that you want to learn those skills. So for example, the initial period of 2 weeks was given for the mentor and the participant bonding time, in which they asked if everybody was familiar with Git and GitHub skills. So if not, they will be providing you all the resources that you want to that, so that you can learn Git and GitHub. And then later on, if they are asking you to put up something in the repository, you can do it conveniently. So from here, like this was also my big breakthrough in data science, where I made these two projects, and I realized that doing projects was one important thing that you can do while learning in data science. So this was my first open source program that I participated in. The second one was GSSOC. I was a participant in this program again. I worked for a project named How Many Topics, and also their main tech stack was NLP and LDA. This process goes on for 3 months. Also in GSSOC, there is a thing that in which initially 1 month they will check your PR contributions to any project that you would like to contribute. According to that, the project is allotted to you after that 1 month period. And then the mentors will coordinate with you, have monthly, weekly meetings to check out your progress. They also have like top 25 performers based on how much you are contributing to the project. They have swags and goodies that they will give you. So this procedure is whole for 3 months, and you have amazing mentors with you who help you at every point. Like if you don't know how to merge a PR, or you don't know how to even put up a PR request or something, they will share the screen and they will show you how to put up a PR request and everything. They helped us with all the tech stack as well. Like there is something that you should know the basics of NLP and LDA before working in the project, and the rest advanced topics and everything was taken up by the mentors. They helped us at every point in the project. So there are other open source programs as well. A very famous one is a Google Summer of Code. The applications will open in March, and I think around 28-29 March is what they're expecting. So in Google Summer of Code, they provide stipends as well. And it is like a huge feat if you get into your application is selected into a Google Summer of Code program. And the next one is the Script Winter of Code. There may be other open source programs, but these are the only some that I know of and I participated in. Yeah, so the data science breakthrough initially, like I was talking to Sir as well earlier, when the lockdown started and I saw everybody was just doing certifications to prove their skills worth in any field. but that is not the case. You just believe that certifications are the only thing that you help you get through your resume, and you will put that you have gained 100 certifications and everything. But what people generally don't understand is just doing certifications is showing that you have learned the course. You might have not gained the skill as much as you require for the industry. So what is actually which is required for gaining the skill is what you show on the projects, is what you work using your research papers or your projects or any open source programs that you're participating through, or any personal projects that you're trying to do. So how much ever you apply your knowledge is more important than anything. Just certifications will won't help you to land up any internship or any job which will be there. Yeah, so this is basically how much data science contains. And also there is a lot of hype amongst the juniors. They just start off data science by learning Python, and they just start doing ML and DL, which is very wrong. First, for if you want to get into data science, the any thing that you should learn first is software engineering. You should be thorough with data structures and algorithm concepts. You should know how to you should know the basic mathematical concepts. Linear algebra, statistics, and calculus are very important in machine learning and deep learning. So those are the things that you should be very familiar with if you want to get into data science. The rest things about visualization and data pre-processing and programming and everything work out eventually, but if you don't have the basics, you won't be able to get a breakthrough to it. Even though you might start learning machine learning and deep learning directly, which many people do, and they try to get ahead, but they don't understand the basic concepts which are involved on how the algorithm is being formed and what is the math which is involved behind any neural network or any complex machine learning algorithm which is there. So my way of learning data science was that I read a lot of books. Like I have many PDFs and all. So I tried to learn as much as I can from there. I also learned from the open source channels of MIT and Stanford, which are there. So there are very amazing free courses which are available, and also they have put all these on their YouTube channels. So if it's feasible for you, you can also go and try it from there. They don't provide any certifications for that, and I don't think it is needed as well. So yeah, so also you should practice whatever you learn. Suppose if you're learning a machine learning algorithm, you should know how to practice it, how to implement that algorithm on a real data set. Generally, what people start with is stock price prediction or house price prediction, something like that. So you should also try implementing the algorithm. You should see the results, how the data set is being altered after the ML algorithm, how different data cleaning techniques help your algorithm to work better. Are all these things which are genuinely required for learning data science. Like also, generally there is a misconception. People believe that data science is just machine learning and deep learning, but that is like only 10% of the data science. Main work is just cleaning and visualizing your data. You just have to make sure that your data is clean enough that whenever you train it using an algorithm, it has to be giving you proper results. And like in an industry, you will be dealing with huge amounts of data. You need to make sure that the data is proficient enough for your algorithm to work correctly. Otherwise, it will never lead you to good results, or you will never be able to draw proper conclusions from it. Next is building projects. Generally, when you start with open source, it is with a community, and you have the mentors and your participants as your peers. So that is what will help you gain knowledge from others, and you give it to the community. So it will help you to gain knowledge. Next are Kaggle challenges. Kaggle is an online platform which many data scientist people like who are working already, they might know about it. So they post challenges every week, so you can build a team and participate in those challenges. They have projects you can make. You can put up notebooks. They also provide courses for learning the basics of mathematics and data science, in NLP and computer vision and machine learning. They have all the courses, they provide everything for that. And last is building a strong community. This is generally what I've observed in any field, that when I started with my data science journey, you need to make sure that you are in a community and you properly contribute to it. You help people out. You talk to different experts. You gain knowledge. You understand what exactly the industry's requirement are, and that will only help you if you try to build up a community. So if you participate in open source and those programs, and from there you get to learn more people, you need to connect with people of your interest on LinkedIn as well. You need to understand the proper use of LinkedIn as well in that. So these are some important points which are required. Also, data science is not just about sitting on a chair and programming all day. It's not like a software development job where you will work from 9 to 6, you will do the coding and the projects and you will just get done with it. A data scientist should also know how to communicate with the people. If your heads tell you that what is exactly the insight that you gained from this data visualization or all the preparations that you've done using this data, you should be able to communicate your thoughts through that data. You should know that whatever that data is predicting, whatever the conclusions that it has drawn, you should be able to show it to the company that you have done something. So communication is also an important part in the data science. Also, I would recommend to start writing articles or start a blog. So in that you can put up articles showing that suppose you completed a project, so you can post the results of your data analysis work, that you have done this and what insights you gained from it. And you try to teach people what you have learned, and that is the best way of learning anything, that you try to teach others what you have learned, so you know that what how much knowledge you have gained through it. If you are able to um, if you are able to portray your knowledge to someone else, that means that you know the concept well. So that is a very good way of learning any concept. So what is the main tech stack that generally data scientists learn? So Python or R, any language that you are familiar with, is important. Data structures are the key building points for any data science work. There are many machine learning algorithms and that you have to get familiar with, deep learning algorithms. If your interest is into core AI and not data science, then you should be familiar with the machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms, NLP part, computer vision part. This all is there, like into core AI, which is a part of data science. And it involves visualization tools as well. So generally used tools are Power BI and Tableau. So you build dashboards and you visualize your data through that. Big data technologies, these are something that have come into, like, they are recent breakthroughs into data science. So there is not much material available for Spark and Scala. Like, there are good books, but the courses which are there, they are all not very good. So you have to, if you need to learn Spark and Scala, try learning them using books and everything. Later, we hope that we get better courses for that. And SQL is very important in data science. Like SQL programming using Hadoop is like the key skill which is required for learning data science. Next is the internships. So these are the main internships that I did. First was at Man Ki Baat Industries. I was an MLAI developer there. So for any data science internship which is there, the first round is obviously your application which has to be selected. The second is the interview round. So for Man Ki Baat, my interview went on for 45 minutes to 1 hour. So what do they ask you? Like, if you put on your resume that you have done these projects, you've participated in these open source programs, what projects have you built and how have you built it? What are the tech stack that you know and you have implemented onto the project? You should know from top to bottom how your project was implemented, how it was deployed, how exactly did you work in the community. So my project was on sentiment analysis using NLP. So the recruiter asked that what are the key algorithms that you use, what are the libraries that you used. If you're using OpenCV, what are the algorithms that you have learned from there, and which algorithm have you implemented into the project, what are the other algorithms that are available. And also they will ask whether they have a required tech stack which they want from a developer. So AWS and Microsoft Azure and these cloud services are also one of the most important tech stacks which almost nowadays is required in all data science skills. So they are also something that you need to be quite familiar with after you have done learning machine learning and deep learning. They are the platforms which are generally required for deployment services. Deployment means that suppose you're building a stock price prediction machine learning model, and you need to bring it into the market by you, and you can only do that using deployment, which means that you are building a website which can predict the stock price prediction. That is how you can communicate your model with the consumer. That is what deployment basically is. So there are many deployment services which are available, these AWS and Microsoft Azure, GCP, which is provided by Google. They are some of the services which are there. Or you can deploy it on Streamlit or using Flask APIs, and you deploy it on Heroku. There are some of the required deployment services. Next is the Omdana. Omdana is a huge company which they just take in projects from other companies and they provide it to the students. So generally based on what your interest is, they have 3 levels of machine learning engineers. That is a lead machine learning engineer, an intermediate, and a junior. So if you have 0 to 2 years of experience, people generally apply to a junior machine learning engineer post. So in that, they will provide you with the projects. They have a team manager, they have mentors. They will provide, if you want, they will just suppose there is a project, they will divide the project into different tasks. So one task will be data pre-processing, one will be dividing the data set into whichever data sets that you want to work in. You can pick up any from open source or the company provides. It depends on how the company wants the project. And you can take up the machine learning model, or like these are the different tasks which are there. So if you lead a task, you have better chances of getting into a lead machine learning engineer post. Or if you are just a junior, you can work for 1 or 2 projects in the initial, and then you can apply for a lead machine learning engineer post. Generally, Omdenas have a lot of applications coming in. So if you apply to 7 8 projects, after 5 6 months is what a response they will provide you that you've been selected. That also only if your application is good. If it is at an intermediate level and they think that you deserve a chance, then they will take up an interview and decide if they want to get away with your application or they want you in the company. So these are generally what I have seen in their internships for that. So this is my contact. I'll be putting this in the chat box. And also one more thing that I would like to say is that currently I've been working on research papers and stuff. So from there you get to learn a lot of information about what are the different types of neural networks that are coming into the market, or what are the different hybrid models that the researchers are building to pose different problems into the world which are going on. So I had recently written a research paper on diabetes detection. So I had learned that first, for writing any research papers, you need to collect around 100 to 150 research papers and read all of them. You need to make sure that you are thorough with all the algorithms and everything. Also on LinkedIn, I read posts and everything. One of the persons said that for writing a research paper, if you are building any model, if you're building a hybrid model and you feel it is very unique, you should definitely write a research paper on it. There are many mentors which are available. You can contact your professors in your colleges. They will help you out in writing a paper. But for any data science field, if you're trying to get into, if you want to become an AI researcher, you want to become a data scientist, generally they ask for PhD or a master's degree for most of the jobs. Also, if you have a research paper, a good publication in an international journal, it will be a good add-on on your resume. So that is also something that, if like after you have learned all the tech stack and you are familiar with all the skills, that is something that you should definitely try for writing a research paper. Yeah. So thank you.
Thanks, Tashita. Students, if you are having any doubts, you can ask to her. Yes, Anamika, you are having doubts.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, I want to know about GSSOC. Means,
Yeah.
ma'am, that you have participated in 2020.
Yeah.
And ma'am, I don't know about the first month. What is their procedure? Actually, they are. I'm also participating in 20. Now, currently, what that is going on.
Yeah.
Ma'am, they had provided the issue, but how to solve that means we have to write the code and we have to pull request or something. Is there is any column to solve that issue?
You're talking about like first, I think in the first month they have given that you need to put in PR request and you need to put in some contributions to the project. I think you need to write some code and then you need to put in the PR requests to show that you have interest in that project. So yeah, I think that it will work like that. Which project are you volunteering for? Like, what is the tech stack which is required?
I'm currently in the Algo text and two three project I had seen there,
Yeah.
but actually I'm not getting it. I'm not so much familiar with GitHub, so I'm facing lot of problem.
Like, if you have problems with GitHub, you can contact me. I have resources for learning Git and GitHub. So if you want that, I'll send it to you if you contact me personally.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Yeah. So I'll just put in my mail and I've put in my LinkedIn ID in the chat box. So if anybody has any doubts regarding to any stuff, any material also, if you require for data science, if you want to learn through books or you want to know which courses that you should go through for learning specific topics into data science, like it's a huge thing. There are many courses which are available for data science and there are many who market internships and they provide money and all of that. There are a lot of scams also going on. So if you want any advices or you want to know that which courses you should learn from, you can ask on it through my LinkedIn ID. Yeah. So any other question?
Ma'am, can you please share your GSSOC 2020 journey? How you started, what type of project you worked on?
GSSOC 20, I participated in the extended program, which was like an extension from the main program. So it was in that I worked with NLP on that topic, how many, on the project named How Many Topics. So the main tech stack was NLP and LDA. So what they did was the mentors asked us to complete different part of the projects, and they used to hold on weekly meetings to know the progress which is being going on according to the participants. So suppose suppose like if you're picking up a project, like we had a project, so you can pick up any data set that you want to work on, and you can form a team like of 2 3 people, and you can um, work on that data set and build a model on it, and then you need to show your weekly progress to the mentors to show that you're actually working. Otherwise, if you don't show that, they won't provide you any certificate or any recognition that you have worked in the project. Yeah.
And ma'am, what about the first month? Like you had said earlier that in the first month of that we have to means in many project we can contribute. So means how was that? Means before means
In GSSOC, you cannot contribute in many projects you want. You can contribute into only one. This is what is there initially. If they want any further developers, if they are falling short of any developers in their other projects, they will ask that if you are willing to contribute into other. But in GSSOC, it is compulsory that you can contribute to only one of them.
okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Students, if you are having questions, please ask related to open source data science. Well, Tushita, you have just told the sequence of working, which every student should know if they are, especially for the CSC students. That means they should start from the algorithms, data structures, to the programming, and then they should start building the projects. They must register in GitHub, and they push their projects there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the internet went off. Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So we're just discussing about the sequence that how the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
students used to proceed. That means they must clear the concepts of algorithms and the data structures.
Yes, sir.
Then they must started doing coding or the programming. They must
Yes, sir.
register for the Git and the GitHub. Then they have to push their projects there. Okay, then they
Yeah.
must apply for these open. That means they must have some contributions, open source. Apply for the internships, and while they used to while they are building their project, they must write some blogs. They must help others. They must share their work on their LinkedIn and other platforms.
Yes, sir.
They start building their resumes,
Yes, sir.
and any other technology if they are interested, as you told about data science or machine learning, or if they are interested in something cloud computing or whatever they are interested, they must cyber security. There are various fields in computer science, so they can
Yes, sir.
move towards them, and they should accept and challenge that we need to explore our knowledge in these areas.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Okay, any other student you want to ask anything to Tushita?
Yeah, Tashita, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you currently doing any contribution in any open source projects?
Like currently, you're asking if I am working in any open source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
contribution.
So I am. Yeah, I'm working with GSSOC 21 as well.
Uh, no, as in the project. For example, you for let's just say any open source project. Let's just say you are working for GNOME maybe, or maybe KDE or other like open source companies which are developing software. So basically, any
I'm not
software.
working with any company as of now. Like I have to prepare for my competitive exams and all of that. So I'm not working on any projects as of now.
All
I'm
right,
focusing on writing research papers and building my SOP because I need to apply for masters.
all right,
So I
makes
have to
sense.
kept all, yeah. So I've kept all that on hold right now. So I'll be working on that during my vacations again.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So basically, you did work on any open source project in the past.
Like what I have worked through open source programs, not any open source projects like that. The internships that I have done are basically they don't like I showed one Mann Ki Baat Industries. They were building an application which would help people to gain access to an online doctor. So they were saying that they would build an app and also an online website in which we MLAI developers had to build up AI models based on the fact that suppose like any diabetes detection, or you do it using face recognition or any such stuff which you can gain the data set and then you can train the model on. So yeah, those kind of projects are ones that I have worked on. Not any, I've not contributed to any open source library or something.
All right. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well, Tashita, can you share your result for your sentiment analysis project?
I don't. I
Can you just please mention some key points? What exactly that project used to do means? Uh,
Yeah, along with the model you used and the accuracy percentage.
Yeah, so basically, we gain an accuracy of 85 to 88% is something. So we scraped off data from Twitter using the API keys and everything. And then basically, it was a model to detect violence in a statement. So if you're writing that it was like if you're writing the man was dangerous and he was about to kill us, so that is showing a negative sentiment, which means the statement is dangerous. And so that is what is helping determine a sentiment in a statement. So that is what sentiment analysis basically is. So that will give you a negative raise that this statement is showing negative feelings. So that is why it is giving a negative response. Or if you're writing that it is a good day, then the project will give you a response that it is a positive sentiment that you have in the statement. So basically picking out the keywords which are there to help determine the sentiment in any statement. So that is done using NLP. And then you pre-process the data using NLP, and then we used a naive-based machine learning model to classify it. So yeah, we gained an accuracy of about 87 to 88 percentage on the model, and we deployed it on Streamlit. So we created a web app on Streamlit using that.
all right. So can you please tell what about the future work you will, if you want to do continuous on that particular project?
Sorry, sir, I don't get your question.
Well,
Future work like what?
means in the sentiment analysis,
Yeah.
you told about that you have just taken Twitter data and analyzing the keywords and something like that.
Yes.
On what basis that means what future work where you want to implement this thing apart from the Twitter and other?
Sir, basically, sentiment analysis can be used for suppose a person is sitting, you can determine according to his statements what exactly, generally, sentiment analysis is used by people for, in generally, doctors, like the online doctors that they use. So they are using the data which a person has said, or they convert it into statements and things to determine whether what exactly is going on in a person's head or what condition is he going through. Generally sentiment analysis also, like we also tried like NLP is basically used for majorly sentiment analysis, extracting the data and then determining what exactly the statement is trying to portray by putting out the keywords. So yeah.
All right. Any other doubts, student? Want to ask anything?
Ma'am, in your slide here in the database management system, what is Hadoop?
Hadoop is just like SQL programming, like database management. It is used in that. So SQL, first you need to learn what exactly SQL programming is. So it is used in that. Hadoop nowadays is not very common, but initially for data scientists and all, Hadoop was quite used for database management and stuff. Like you need to work with data. That is what data science is all about. So storing the data, how exactly and where would you store it? So that is exactly what Hadoop was being used for initially. So it is, it has like data pre-processing and all of that was done using Hadoop. And now, yeah, there were like it's a huge thing. It's up actually it's Apache Hadoop actually.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, it is used for big data. Like it is like it's an open source framework which is used in big data management and stuff. So yeah. Like there are like data science is now divided into a lot of different fields. You have now separate core AI researchers, you have different big data scientists and everything. So for any field, if you're targeting a smaller field in that sense, then if you're doing with big data, then Apache Spark, Scala, and all of these things are more important. If you're doing into core AI, then machine learning, DL, NLP, and CV are more important.
Any other questions, students? Okay, Tushita, what else internships should students needs to know about if they want to have, data science or AI or machine learning, if they are having interest in that?
Yeah, so generally, data scientists, what people do is they start working with startups and stuff. So, working and doing internships with startup will help you gain some experience with how the industry related projects work. So, like I worked with Monkey Bath Industries, like that was my first tech internship. So, it is a startup which was there to implement online doctors and stuff. Next, what I worked was with Omdena. They have a lot of projects, and it's like a very huge company that they work for. You can also apply if you have a good experience with research and stuff. You can apply to internships like you can apply as a research intern in many universities. Like they have openings. All the if you have a good research paper and stuff, you can apply to IITs. You can talk to their professors personally to apply as a research intern there. So yeah, that is what generally data scientists do. And then you can go on to any companies like fintech and stuff if you are into financial and machine learning. So yeah.
All right. Students, if you have any doubts, please ask. Well, Tushita, you have discussed about that why these are all important for students. That means as we are having online classes and online sessions now, so
Yes, sir.
students should have to focus upon their resume building also.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think? What they must include in that?
If you're applying to like if your goal is getting into a placement, or if you want to apply for masters or anything, the first thing that you should be very, if you have good certifications, that is an add-on. Like good certifications, I don't mean that Coursera certificates or Udemy certificates. Like I mean, if you've given any AWS exams or you've given MTA exams, those certifications are something that means something in the industry, which portray that you have done a good skill development work. In that also, if you have good projects like personal projects, or you have done it through open source, like personal projects and all of these, they are a great add-on. You need to maintain your GitHub repository and GitHub profile, like that is very important. Also, I think for data science, it is good if you have vlogs and you write articles or you write papers. So it will be a add-on for data science in that. Also in resume, like you can work from any Kaggle challenges, you can participate in hackathons and all of these things. So yeah, there are a lot of hackathons which go all year round. So you can participate in those to work on your skills and show it on your resume. Putting up certificates from Coursera and all of these doesn't make sense. If you put up certificates that you had participated in an hackathon and you had built this project and something, that would be definitely more helpful for you in your resume.
Yeah, absolutely. Students must focus upon the practical thing.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, whether they are their own projects or whether they are working with some other organizations, or
Any
they might be having some teamwork also, some efforts which
Yeah,
they do.
so by personal projects, I mean that like if 3, 4 people are working in a collaboration on a big project or something. So you are like you are building from scratch, that you are putting up a model and then you are using deployment techniques to bring it into production. You should exactly know how each line of code works. You should know from start to end how the project is deployed. If you are putting it on the resume, that means you know 100% of the project that you've done, because a recruiter can ask you anything from anywhere in your project. If you put up sentiment analysis, he will ask you what is the tech stack you used, what are the libraries you used, which algorithm did you use. All of these things you have to be very familiar with if you're putting a project. So just only and only if you're 100% sure that you know this project right from the start till the end, only and only put that project on your resume.
Well, absolutely. I guess students should have to set their level beyond the campus selection, that to this particular company or something which is going to pay about a package of 3.5 or something like that. Students should have to maintain their level high. They must
That's
look for certain, as you talk about some projects, internships, and some training programs. And you talked about the research papers, blog writings. At least they must come up with some ideas, some knowledge, some creativity, some skills. So I guess the students which are here with me right now, in this session also, they are having too many ideas. They are very very good students, but still they require some point of some platform or some motivation. So that's what we are doing right now, that they get motivated and they must think beyond what they are exactly.
yeah, right, definitely.
Okay, students, if you are having any doubts, please ask, or then we are going to wind up the session.
Ma'am, as you said in the resume, we should mention the project work and all. Ma'am, as
Yeah.
a first year student, what I means how I make my resume that will look good. Till now, I hadn't worked in any projects.
Which year are you in currently?
First year.
Oh, first year. Yeah, so like you still have time to build up your profile, like up till you get generally internships and all of these things from third year onwards. So you have like a good amount of time to build up your resume. Like if you get, you're from CSC?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so if you get into like machine learning and stuff, then you have time. Like first, I think you should be very familiar with data structures, algorithm, and all of that. You should move on to competitive coding, and then you should get into data science for learning machine learning and deep learning. And after that, if you get a breakthrough into all of these things, and you pick up online resources and stuff, you read research papers, you will know how projects work and all of that. So as of now, first year, I think the only thing that you should be concentrating on is building your basics, like I said, DSA, and also the maths which is required in machine learning and deep learning for complex and all of those stuff. It's of very high level, so you should have a very solid hold on calculus and statistics. It is very very important for data science. So for first year, I think you should focus on only these things. Second year, you can start off with open source programs and all of this. So you know how actually projects work and all of that, how in industry like the mentors are required. Then you can start putting up personal projects with your friends or something. You can work in groups and you can make a big project, or you can contribute to any library, or then you can write up articles based on that. So you have a good amount of time to work on this point wise.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Tashita, we have come up with one question, that means, can you tell about the free sources available for machine learning?
Like generally, I learned machine learning from books, and also I learned it from Udemy. Also for machine learning, like if you pick up any open source for the top Ivy Leagues or anything, they have many YouTube channels and stuff. Also, one of a very big data science creator, his name is Krish Nayak. He has a great YouTube playlist for his machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms, and all of that. So he teaches it very nicely. He also puts up videos for end-to-end implementations of machine learning projects and stuff. So if you know the basic algorithms and stuff, so you can watch his project videos, so you can see how exactly projects are being implemented. There are some other good machine learning creators which are there on YouTube as well. So generally, I use YouTube as my primary source of learning for machine learning. And also there are many books. So if you want the PDFs or if you want the name of those creators, I will find out all of that. And if you can ask on LinkedIn, I'll provide you that.
All right. So your LinkedIn profile link is available in the chat box.
Yeah.
So students who want to know about data science or open source or machine learning, if they want to have a discussion with certain projects, they can connect to Tushita for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Any other questions, students? Okay. There is one question related to competitive programming.
You started with HackerRank, then generally people go for CodeChef, they go for LeetCode. There's also a platform called Codeforces. They contain advanced level problems for competitive programming. Like I think LeetCode has like subscription and all of that also for providing you problems which come from companies like Goldman Sachs and Google and Amazon and all of that. So they also have questions which are based on their programming contests which are available online. So after HackerRank, you can go on with CodeChef is what I would prefer. CodeChef, Codeforces, which is whichever seems more feasible for
Okay.
advanced level questions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Kaushal, can you unmute your mic and please ask the question?
She's put up how to start with ML projects as a beginner.
Yeah.
So for any like if you're learning any machine learning algorithm or something and generally what people start with is, like I said, stock price prediction, house price prediction. So you can build up that model by using the machine learning algorithm. You are tweaking the hyperparameters and you're understanding how the data actually works. So there are some small models like they require maximum 25 lines of code for working. But what the main thing is, you should know how to visualize the data and understand what exactly is happening with the data set. If you're tweaking the hyperparameters, you should know that if you visualize the data, in what manner is what is providing you proper insights to getting to proper conclusions and stuff. And also the most important point for machine learning projects, like I said, is deployment. So once you start doing projects of intermediate level, try to deploy every model that you can. Yeah. So for beginner machine learning projects, I would recommend picking up a simple house price prediction and applying all the machine learning algorithms that you can for the classification and stuff. So you know exactly which model is giving you good accuracy or which model proper hyperparameter tuning can get you to a better accuracy and stuff. So you just need to learn how to experiment with the model. So that is more important at a beginner stage. Then at the later level, you can build up a complex model. You can build up hybrid models. You can build deep learning neural networks and stuff. Yeah. Any other question?
Any other questions, students? Okay, we are waiting for that. Students, if you are having any questions, please ask. Okay, all right. I guess there are no more questions. So
Okay.
thanks a lot, Tushita. Okay, it has come, one question. How to build an article on particular language? How to start?
On a particular language means?
Means
What is
particular.
that?
Vijay Pratap, on which language you are working currently? Like Python.
You don't build up an article like just on Python. Like I was not talking about like building general articles. I was saying like suppose if you've made up a small project and you want to write an article on it, so you can write how exactly did you make up the model, what accuracy did you gain, what are the insights that you gained from your data visualization tools and everything. So that is what you can write an article about. It is basically portraying that you have done this project and you are portraying the knowledge to other people. You are making them understand that you have built this house price prediction, you have tweaked these parameters, you have gained these insights from the data. So that is exactly how you can do, or you can learn from this and do something else of your own. So that is what an article or blog is about. Not like I've any particular language like Python, you can put in like general points, but I have not done that. Like I would prefer writing an article or a blog on a project that you've done, or any new hybrid model or anything new that you've learned from and which is not common, is what I would prefer for you to write an article on.
All right. Okay, students, any other questions? Okay, good courses for machine learning after doing Python. Tushita, I request you to please write the name of the YouTube channel or the person from where you referred for the machine learning. Can you please
So
write author names also, book author?
One is Krish Nayak. Books, PDFs I have. If you want, Kajal, you can contact me personally. I'll send you the PDFs. Also,
Okay.
you can go on Udemy Machine Learning A to Z. You can work on YouTube channels by. There are a lot of videos which are available by MIT on deep learning and machine learning. So they are very good. Also on their websites, you can check them out. Also on Coursera, they have made it available, like by IBM. They have a course called Machine Learning using Python, something like that. They have a full data scientist specialization in which they provide 9 courses. There is right from the start, like basic tools that you use, and then they have the machine learning course, they have the deep learning course, and at the last you have to provide a capstone project. So that is a good, that is the whole specialization consists of 9 courses. So you can do that. Yeah.
All right, Kajal, I guess there are some resources which Tashisha mentioned here. And for more references, you can connect to her and ask your doubts if you're having a more related to machine learning. Okay, students, any other doubts? Please, you can ask to her. Okay, more sessions will be conducted based on data science. Yeah, sure. We will conduct more sessions. And we request Tushita to come up again with one more sessions.
Yeah, sure. I'll try my best so that I can, like, we can just provide a proper session just for data science, so that
Yeah.
We can provide a proper roadmap or something so that people can understand better.
Sure. I will discuss with the students related to data science and machine learning, and
Yeah.
we will come up with the sessions related to that topic. That's very much important.
Yes, sir, definitely.
All right, students. Do you have any more questions?
Ma'am, can you tell about some of the good books to read on for making our concepts more clear?
Books like you're asking for data science, right? Like for maths and all, I
Yes, ma'am.
prefer statistics and calculus I had done from books. Also, there is with this publication, there is I don't exactly remember the name, but the publications are such that they have the explanations and they also provide you the GitHub repository in which they have put up the codes and something. So Yeah, that is there. For I think there are many books like Keras and machine learning implementations in Python and all of that. I don't exactly remember the publication name. I think it's by O'Reilly. So yeah, like I was saying, I can provide you the drive link which contains all the PDF and stuff. So if you're interested in reading those books, that will be much better than going for any random courses. Like they are authorized proper books which contain the codes and everything. So they are very good for learning data science. So you can contact me and I'll provide you the PDFs for that.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, students, if you are having any more doubts, please ask. All right, request Anamika to have last words. Anamika.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tushita ma'am, for your wonderful session. We all learned a lot from your session, like many things that we don't know previously. After your session, we learned a lot. Thanks for your amazing session. We want you to conduct more session further. Thank you,
Thanks.
ma'am.
Thank you for providing me this opportunity. I'd like to thank Nirmal sir. So
Thanks,
yeah.
thanks, Dashita. And as the students show their interest in data science and machine learnings, I guess
Yes.
if there are more students who've been participating in this session, definitely they will come up some more queries, because
Yeah,
in
sure,
this
definitely.
topics students have they want to explore these topics. So what is data science? What is machine learning? They are learning Python as a programming language. Now,
Yes.
where to implement this programming language? So, definitely we will conduct one more session, Tushita, based on
Yes,
that.
sir, definitely, definitely.
Okay. All right, Tushita. Thanks for joining and giving a wonderful session. Thank you, Anamika. Thank you, all the students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you,
Thank
Tushita, again.
you. Yeah, thank you.